Our library has thousands of stories that reside on the shelves, waiting for somebody to grab them, open them up, and let their story be told. While others, like this painting, reside on our walls. And like Rod Stewart said in 1971, every picture tells a story. Such is the case with our painting here, called Real Watusi by local artist Harold LaRue. Painted in 1965, it is an oil on masonite and usually resides in what is a permanent display on the main level next to the elevator. Mr. LaRue was born in 1918 in Indianapolis, Indiana, to Sam LaRue and Eva Walsh, and he was raised for most of his life in Elizabethtown, Kentucky, where he attended school and graduated from Bond Washington High School. While he was at school, he read every book in the library, he said, and when he hit high school, he began to read the reference books. It was here that he was exposed to art also. When he graduated from school, he was given 2 books by a friend of his because of his reading, Anna Karenina and Tolstoy's War and Peace. Those 2 books would become the first in what would be a collection amassing to thousands of books over his lifetime. After school, he got a job doing construction and working in a stone quarry. In 1942, as he puts it, the Army made him a better offer, and he enlisted and went to work in Alaska building runways and Air Force bases as a tech sergeant, which is equal to a first-class sergeant today. He was part of the 807th Engineer Battalion Aviation Separate. And if you think that the word separate is unusual at the end, it's because it was a segregated unit. Mr. LaRue was there in 1943, and it was 11 days from the time they hit the beach in Alaska to the first planes landed. This was done in secret in 1943, and it paid off when the Japanese invaded Alaska and they were repelled because these bases were there. He said it was a great place that had time for him to paint and draw. And he was thinking about that when he got out of the Army, and he decided to cash in his GI Bill, and he went to school. And he went to the University of Wisconsin at Madison, where he earned a BA and a master's in art. One of his classmates was Lorraine Hensley, the woman who wrote Raisin in the Sun. Now, Mr. LaRue wanted to be a journalist, and he said, I was a bad journalist, but I was a good painter. Well, Miss Hensley wanted to be a painter, but she was a better writer. After graduating from the University of Wisconsin in 1953, he took his degrees and found a job at Cleveland College down in Orangeburg, South Carolina, South Carolina's oldest black college. And he worked in the art department there for a few years. In 1956, he was the staff advisor for the yearbook. And by 1959, it all began to leave. As he described it in an article in 1982, he sat down to play bridge, and at the end of the game, he discovered he couldn't get up. Rheumatoid arthritis, a crippling disease, had taken over his body, and had taken such a hold on him that within a short time, he was unable to teach anymore. A man who had started out working in quarries and construction and had graduated to teaching art, painting, sculpting, dance, and photography was now someone who couldn't do any of that. By 1960, he had moved back to Danville to be with his mother. In 1965, when this painting was done, his disease had abated enough he tried to go back to work, but he failed the physical. And for the rest of his life, he collected books and encouraged others to be creative. In 1982, he donated to our library over $20,000 worth of books, like this one. It amounted to 1,000 different volumes. And that was just what he gave the Boyle County Public Library. He gave hundreds of books to Danville High School and Boyle County High School. His legacy today still lives, some 35 years after his death in 1987. The library has lots of artwork on the walls. Each one of them has got a story that's similar to this one. And if you like, just stop by on the main floor and you can see his picture, the real Watusi.